One of our assays has a relatively large sample volume, 500 microlitres, and a small dilution, and it's a 1 in 4. So I'm concerned about carryover.
Right.
So can you show me how I can remove any possibility of sample carryover with that application?
Yeah, it's a good question, Chris. I think particularly with high viscosity materials, there's always the concern of carryover.
Yeah.
We are more often confident that the dilution ratios, as long as they're more than around 1 to 2, 3, we would get a complete exchange of material out. However, we do appreciate that the right to absolute confidence. So if we go back to that advanced programming step that we looked at earlier, I can actually look into this program. And one of the things that you may have noticed is we have a wash mode.
Yeah.
The wash mode is switched off at the moment, but if I actually select this, what it's doing is initiating part of the program to put a further wash step at the end of the run. So you can see we have the wash mode is on, the
Yep.
function is here now, and now if I go back into the program, we have an option here to put a wash volume. You see another little tag has actually come up.
So the wash volume, the syringe driver will determine the number of strokes of the syringe.
Yes.
Is it limited by the maximum volume of the syringe?
No, it will actually select a volume which is appropriate. So if I want to do a really high dilution volume afterwards, then I can select larger than the syringe size. But let's, for example, here, say you asked about your sample, which was 500 microlitres.
Yep.
So if I enter that and we're doing a 500 microlitre sample, and you were doing a 1 in 4, you said, or 1 in 5?
That's 1 in 4.
Okay, so it's there. You can see that it's corrected and shown that we have 500 microlitres and 1500 microlitres of sample. I may want to actually increase my volume of wash to, let's say, 5 mils.
Yep.
I could easily do that by putting a wash step of putting 5,000 microlitres, whatever volume we think is appropriate for the diluent. So here you can see all the variables have now been changed. And we're going to conduct the same sort of program as we had before. So if we activate that program by, again, using the button on the hand probe, you'll see the first stage it's going to do is aspirate our diluent, which is taking up that 1500 microlitres. The next stage was actually, it took up the amount of air gap, you see automatically here, and now it's going to pick up our sample here, 500 microlitres. Okay. Now we're still running with this particular program with an air gap mode, so the next button press is actually going to aspirate a small air gap.
Yeah.
And I can actually now whack my tip. Now once I've actually done that, we can actually dispense that 1 in 4 dilution into your new sample, which is done.
Yeah.
And automatically the unit is now ready because it's aspirated an amount of material to
And
do
you
a
have control, you have to press the button.
Exactly.
It's not wash system diluent, anything going on my bench, is that?
You're absolutely right, yes. Okay. At the moment this is a manual trigger function, so I can dispense that into waste. And you'll notice the sun's gone in, but it's going to fill again with the additional volume here. So giving us our full volume of operation there. So we've completed that wash cycle.
Yeah, good.
To show that whole cycle there, ready for the next program step. So there you are, Chris. We used the sample and the diluent volume to give you that 1 in 4 dilution, and we included the wash cycle at the end of that. I mean, that does cover much of what most people need to do.
So how do I save that? And if I've got similar applications, how do I then duplicate and edit? Because I have several applications that are similar, and I don't want to create new methods from scratch every time. Show me how to do that.
That's a good point. Although we've only entered a few factors here, for example, the sample and the diluent volume, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, if you're repeating an assay quite a lot, it's easier to actually use as a saved, or as what we call a custom or favourites program.
Yep.
So one of the icons you can see of this back trace here is save. If I actually press save, it comes up in 2 formats, a favourite or a custom program. Now,
what's the difference?
I kind of explained, In favourites, it will store it as a favourite, and you'll see a position for us to select that, and it will just hold that particular program in exactly the form that you see it. However, if I were to save it in a custom method, it allows us to actually give it a specific name for the program and add some other detail which may be of use to you. So I'll save that, and then we'll have a look at actually how it goes.
Yep.
This is a custom program.
Okay.
So we'll look at your TriCAD sample here and enter that.
Yep.
And then we'll take it as that program. So I've already gone through a process of entering that here for a moment. So if I come back out of Wizards, and we come straight out of those programs, you'll see at the top function here we had Wizards showing.
Yep.
But we also had the custom programs.
And this is the main menu.
That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
you'll see at the bottom right hand corner we have favourites showing. So if I had it stored as favourites, it would actually be it here. If I was in my custom program, I saved it here. So I'm going to actually go into custom programs, and we've got a TriCAD dilution. So if I actually go to highlight this, and there are several programs, I can select run from this button here, or from our probe on the front, as we've seen on the previous steps. So we've initialized this, so we've gone into this particular program and gone to run step.
So once I've selected the program, everything's controlled by the hand probe.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the thing that we've actually done here is added some additional text line. You remember the arrow is showing us here that we're going to be filling with diluent, but we've put a text line to say what that step is. So here, by initiating the first step, you can see it's taken the diluent, and now it's told the user what the next step is in terms of aspirating sample. So
that makes it foolproof, really.
Exactly. It's told if the technician gets disturbed or has any other issues going on, it tells them immediately the stage they were at. So here we're aspirating our sample.
Yeah, good.
And we've picked up sample as per the previous step. And you remember what the next step was pick our air gap, and we can say pick up air gap and wipe tip. So I can do just that. I can pick up a small air gap.
So you wouldn't accidentally have the tip in liquid.
Exactly.
At that step with this text here. Okay.
That's exactly the point. Yeah. And now we've wiped our tip, and now we can actually dispense. It says dispense the diluent and the sample into the vial we're using. So we select our vial, add that into the unit, and you can see this sample, air gap and diluent came across. And now it's telling us to dispense a wash reagent to waste. So I can actually now put to waste the wash reagent.
So this is an optional step for large sample volumes.
Exactly, so it's told them exactly where we are. It's moved from picking up our sample, telling you what you're doing with that, and moving through the stages right to the stage where it's washing any potential contaminant across.
Yeah, good.
When we're doing a low ratio dilution. We had the repeat step on here, so it's immediately taking up the diluent for the next sample and waiting for the next sample, and now ready to aspirate the material again.
So even between samples, I still don't have to go to the touchscreen. It's all controlled from here.
Exactly. It's just one-off controlled. Clearly, in the laboratory environment, I would be using my gloves. Much easier to use this here, where we're using the sample. I'm showing you some demonstration purposes. We can see in each stage picking up that 5 litre air gap is picked up. It's actually here showing us it's dispensing. The volumes are shown here. So the technician is in full control of what's going on with this process. So very quickly running through each of those steps.
Yep.
And then dispense wash. And you see I've not been using any tips. That wash step is ensuring we had absolutely no carryover. And that was only relevant here because we had a low ratio dilution. If I didn't need to do the wash because the ratio of dilution was quite low, it would take that part out of the step process.
Okay, and if I now wanted to edit that, so I found I felt happier with having a larger wash volume. Can you show me how to do that, please? Yeah,
sure. So if we go back into our custom methods, and now we highlight that particular method here, and we have an edit function, and we can go to that.
Okay.
And we're able to go through each of the stages that we're looking for. So in your step, if you wanted to change that diluent volume to a higher ratio dilution, we can go to that step, which we can see, which was at the end here.
So just scroll through.
And we can see it was automatically aspirating here, 5,000 microliters. If I wish to, now I can highlight that volume and change that maybe
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah,
1,000
easy.
microlitres. I've gone in and entered that as a figure, and we can change the volume here. Now, if I'd forgotten to actually change the other details, the good step in this is you'll notice this little icon here, it says validate. If I actually press validate here, you'll see this says the method will cause an overaspiration or dispense. So there is initially an error because we've asked it to aspirate more than we're dispensing, and therefore there's an imbalance. It's our spreadsheet of information there.
Yeah.
So there's an error and it's told us where it is, which actually here is the fact that I wasn't dispensing the correct amount. So I can change this, and we put in our 5,000 microlitres, and remembering that was in negative form. So I pick one, and you can see it'll change this to put in my 10,000 microlitres
Yeah.
in the negative form. And now if I go to validate, it says the method is valid.
Yeah.
In other words, the steps add up.
Yeah. Very good.
Once that's actually in, we have the information stored. We have the ability to save and loop methods, so it's actually repeating, change of those functions. But essentially now we've actually got that program in, we can come back out to custom methods, and it asks us this, we're going to save before leaving the screen.
Yep.
I say yes, it's now stored that change of program.
And this can be password protected.
Exactly.
All the methods can be password protected. Yeah.
The instrument is CFR 21 compliant.
Yeah.
We have an administrator and a user mode. And the administrator can set up the programs which allow users to access the programs but not change them.
Yeah.
So, and it has full traceability on the documentation it's generating.
Yeah.